Since the very beginning, President Kagame has been an active supporter of our plans for this event and the ongoing plans for our airshow events in Rwanda. I would love to welcome him now to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our honoured guest, President Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda.
Akbar Al-Beka, CEO of Qatar Airways, Alan Pifford, Summit Chairman, Air Chiefs and senior officials, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished delegates, I am pleased to welcome you to Rwanda for the 6th Aviation Summit, Aviation Africa Summit and exhibition taking place together with the first ever World Airports Infrastructure, Equipment and Services exhibition. I thank the organizers, Times Aerospace, for bringing this event back to Rwanda for the 3rd time. I would like to acknowledge the sponsors and exhibitors for making this gathering possible. We are very happy to host you. The last time we met in Kigali was 3 years ago. That meeting highlighted the importance of Africa's aviation market for our continent's ambition to become a single economic bloc. Aviation was growing rapidly and the future was bright. Since then, the COVID pandemic severely affected the aviation industry worldwide, and Africa was no exception. Airlines and airports around the world faced massive layoffs. Now, travel and tourism are getting back to normal, but the industry is not yet back to where it was. The further liberalization of air transport in Africa can act as a catalyst to speed up the industry's recovery by increasing connectivity, stimulating demand, and creating jobs. In the wider context of the African Continental Free Trade Area, open skies help to link our businesses to regional and global supply chains, boosting trade and investment. This is why the full implementation of the single African air transport market must remain a top priority. Rwanda continues to do its part. Currently, Rwanda, our national carrier, serves 24 routes, 19 of which are in Africa. We intend to continue expanding within the continent and abroad. We are working together with our partner, Qatar Airways, to grow Rwanda and build Kigali's new international airport, currently under construction, into a regional hub for passengers and cargo. To accelerate the growth of our aviation industry, we must also address the shortage of skills across the aviation value chain. After all, aviation is a hugely attractive career for young people in Africa as a meeting point for the public and private sectors. This summit is the right platform to drive the employment and skills conversation. Lastly, let's prioritize the use of data and digital technologies to make Africa aviation safer, more reliable, and more affordable. The aviation industry has a role to play in reaching our global climate adaptation goals, and the use of sustainable fuels can help us get there faster. Once again, you are most welcome to Rwanda, and I wish you productive discussions and an enjoyable stay in our country. I thank you for your very kind attention.
I'm greatly honored to welcome you all to Rwanda for the 6th Aviation Africa Summit exhibition, as well as the World Airport Infrastructure, Equipment, and Services exhibition. Your Excellency, I wish to take this opportunity to thank you for officiating the opening ceremony of this important summit. This year, we have over 800 participants attending. During this year's summit, one of the topics to be discussed is finding strategy to integrate innovative technology in the aviation ecosystem. The Aviation Africa Summit is an opportunity to begin the work of making the aviation industry on our continent more sustainable and resilient against future shocks.
Well, one organisation that I know has expressed interest in supporting Africa for quite some years has been the Qatar Airways Group. Constantly having been voted the world's best airline, it's great to see the links coming together between Qatar and Rwanda in particular. It's with great pleasure that to represent the international industry here present, I can bring to the stage His Excellency Akbar Al-Bakr, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Qatar Airways. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, Mr. Al-Bakr.
I would like to thank you for hosting the 6th Aviation Africa Summit and exhibition. It is always a pleasure to visit this beautiful country, Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. In February 2019, during the 4th Aviation Africa Summit, I stressed that for Africa to achieve its full aviation potential, there would be a need for a decisive shift in hubbing dynamics. This year's summit brings us together under the theme of Africa's New Dawn, aviation's resilience, recovery, and growth in a post-COVID era. As we all know, over the 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic created an unprecedented disruption to aviation. Never ever happened in our aviation history. During this period, Qatar Airways never stopped flying and strived to sustain air transport services in order to provide humanitarian repatriation, charters, alongside heavily reduced scheduled services, where the entire aviation industry came to a halt we held the beacon of aviation and persevered to be the most profitable airline during the COVID period. In addition to much more, for example, we work closely with governments and the maritime industry to operate hundreds of chartered and scheduled flights to major global ports to help bring home over 230,000 seafarers and offshore workers. We also supported the transportation of UN personnel and provided necessary humanitarian services. But we also remain committed to ensuring the highest standards of safety and hygiene on board our aircraft. We were the first global airline to achieve the prestigious 5-star COVID-19 airline safety rating by Skytrax. We are now emerging from this crisis with an international air travel returning to the skies, including African states reopening their borders. I can't imagine a better time for this event, as I would like to congratulate all of you for your efforts and dedication to support Africa's new dawn. At Qatar Airways, we are very proud of the role we have played in facilitating the recovery of international aviation. Today, we are one of the leading global carriers connecting Africa to the world and operating one of the largest and most reliable networks in the region. In Africa, we have moved from less than 135 weekly flights before COVID to almost 180 weekly flights now. Since the start of the pandemic, we have resumed 4 destinations in Africa, including Cairo, Khartoum, Alexandria, and Luxor, and added 8 new destinations with Lusaka, Harare, Accra, Abidjan, Luanda, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt, joining our current network of a total of 30 destinations on the continent. By adding new routes and steadily increasing frequencies, we will continue to lead the industry in providing Africa a region with the required global connectivity. I can also say confidently that African states played their part in rebuilding international aviation. First, through continued financial relief. IATA reported that in 2020 alone, a handful of African airlines secured $2.04 billion in government aid. Second, by the safe reopening of borders, I would like to praise the leadership which African Union has shown in preparing a safe restart of aviation in Africa through its Saving Lives, Economies, and Livelihoods campaign. It is clear that the strong collaboration between all stakeholders in the industry enabled aviation to collectively rebuild. However, to further support Africa's new dawn and to lay down strong foundations for aviation resilience, recovery, and future growth, I would like to suggest 4 paramount priorities. Number 1, increasing Africa's connectivity. The African Union's Single African Air Transport Market, SATAM, is intended to unlock travel and economic benefits within the continent. SATAM, as the flagship project of the African Union Agenda 2063, will ensure aviation plays a major role in connecting Africa, promoting its social, economic, and political integration, and boosting intra-Africa trade and tourism. To date, over 30 countries have signed up to the SATAM, representing over 80% of the existing aviation market in African states. And I would like to encourage all African states to fully support this initiative. Number 2, make available enough infrastructure to cope with the travel demand. Infrastructure will need to keep up with the demand for air travel, which we are expecting to soon equal and then surpass COVID levels. We need to build Africa's physical capacity. This includes revisiting infrastructure expansion plans. On this topic, I would like to share with you our efforts towards increasing the capacity at Qatar Airways hub, Hamad International Airport, to more than 58 million passengers annually. And as you all know, we are very committed to do the same thing here by increasing the capacity and building a new infrastructure in Rwanda. As you know, this year we will be hosting the FIFA World Cup, and this expansion that we have done at Hamad International is a vital part of our country's preparation to host this major event. Number 3, make available enough manpower and advance in the next generation of aviation professionals. We need to build Africa's human resources capacity and continue investing in the aviation workforce. This is absolutely important if Africa needs to lead the next expansion in our industry. We need to ensure enough trained and certified staff is available to support increased operations, but also we have to ensure that the next generation of aviation professionals be equipped with skill sets to innovate and adapt to future challenges. Qatar Airways is committed to doing its part to ensure the human talent development and nurture the next generation of leaders and professionals as we keep investing here in the industry. Qatar Airways is also proud to partner with IATA for the launch of the IATA Diversity Inclusion Awards, which promote greater gender diversity in the aviation industry. We recognize the need to encourage women to succeed and excel at all levels of industry and for aviation to better reflect the public that we serve. I would like to take this opportunity to highlight that one of the winners of the inaugural IATA Diversity and Inclusion Awards in 2019 was Africa's own Ms. Fadimatu Simo, founder and president of the Young African Aviation Professionals Association. Moreover, I would like to congratulate Rwanda's CEO, Yvonne Makolo, who is set to become the first woman to serve as IATA's chair on the Board of Governors. Of course, she has made history for y'all, and Africa should be very proud of her because she's the first woman chairperson of IATA, and she's also the only African to have been into that position. Number 4, addressing environmental sustainability as an urgent priority. The aviation sector has taken important steps to adopt sustainability as an urgent priority with a new view to reducing aviation's emission. We must continue working together to sustain the momentum in decarbonizing air travel. But as our industry is now a target of the Green parties, you need to keep one thing in mind, that we in aviation have been very weak and taking the back seat when we are being targeted as the largest emitters of CO2. Actually, the fact is quite the opposite. We are only emitting 2.6% of the total world's CO2 emission, but we are the largest target. So we really need to bring the people, to educate them that aviation plays the most important part in trade, tourism, creating jobs, serving people. That world cannot stay without us. And of course, I would also like to put the onus on the aircraft manufacturers, engine manufacturers, oil companies, that they have to work together to enable us as an industry to meet the target that we have of zero growth by 2050 emission targets. At Qatar Airways, We are at forefront of environmental protection, taking our responsibilities seriously and remaining steadfast to protect the planet and the future of our children and grandchildren. Our sustainability initiatives range effectively from airspace management to waste management. We continued flying with the most modern fleet and advanced aircraft technology in the sky today, with the youngest fleet of any airline. Since 2015, Qatar Airways implemented and embedded more than 70 fuel optimization programs. We are the first carrier in the Middle East to join the IATA turbulence platform for more efficient flight planning, not only to ensure a smooth journey, but also to reduce our fuel burn. In 2021, Qatar Airways committed to use SAF for at least 10% of combined fuel volumes by 2030, provided the oil companies produce more SAF so we can get economies of scale and bring down the price in order to sustain our industry. We have also advanced our voluntary carbon offsetting program to offer a more tailored solution to our passengers, corporates, and cargo customers. We are also a pioneer in the aviation industry, responding timely to industry drivers such as the global net zero commitment. In 2020, Qatar Airways committed to a target of net zero carbon emission by 2050, and we are very committed to this. We remain committed to sustaining these initiatives despite the unprecedented challenges posed by the global pandemic. I firmly believe that by addressing these priorities, the African aviation market can grow much more, as Africa's performance in aviation clearly does not reflect its greater potential. Let me update some of the figures I presented back in 2019. 3.7% of total passenger movements and 5.1% of total revenues are captured by Africa when compared to the global aviation industry. You should ask yourself why. This great continent, with the potential it has, both economic potential, political potential, human resources potential, that it is lagging behind all the other parts of the world. From an alliance perspective, again, we note the following. Star Alliance carriers account for 24% of the total available seats in the intercontinental market. SkyTeam with 16%, and OneWorld, which I am the chairman, only 7%. And people who know me, this is unacceptable. And I hope that when I come to you next time, we will surpass in these figures the other alliance. Moving to the topic of airports, 52% of those passengers and 44% of the total revenue of the entire aviation market to and from Africa is concentrated at 10 airports in 8 countries, out of approximately 291 airports moving intercontinental passengers in Africa. Again shows that there is inefficiencies and you need to address this. 45% of total intra-Africa passengers and 37% of revenues are also concentrated at 10 airports in 7 countries. Mr. President, I promise you, for your country, this will change. Once again, I would like to reiterate one of the key messages I delivered 3 years ago. The aim should not be increasing the number of protected hubs or contributing to the wealth of a few airlines and their alliance partners at the cost of hundreds of millions of other Africans. On the contrary, the vision should be about liberalization, freedom, collaboration, and partnership. I believe in Africa's aviation potential, and I encourage all stakeholders to offer a solid and long-term partnership. Before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to wish the best of luck to all African national football teams during the upcoming FIFA World Cup. It's going to be the first time the world's biggest football tournament will be hosted in the Middle East, and I would like to invite you to visit our country to enjoy the tournament and our signature hospitalities. You also need to keep in mind that this will be the only time and the first time in history of FIFA that the entire game will be played in one city. And there will be opportunity for people to watch more than one match on the same day. So make the most of it, because in your lifetime, you will never get another opportunity to do so. Once again, thank you very much for your invitation, and we look forward to more collaboration and partnership with Africa in the near future. And I wish Africa the greatest success in building this aviation industry. Thank you.